everything that you want in life wants you back, all right? That's how it is. There is money chasing you right now. And most of you don't feel that way. But what I'm saying to you, if you believe me, just hold on for a second. I'm telling you that money is chasing you right now. What you need to do, and I'm going to show you how to do it, is open up your eyes so that you can actually create a bucket and catch that money when it comes your way, all right? So I don't want you thinking that it's hard to make money. It isn't. Making money is easy. Like my spiritual leader, my mentor, she tells us all the time, making money is easy, and it's not as difficult as you may think it is. Making money, especially in real estate, is really, really easy. And you don't need a lot of money to start, nor do you need to have excellent credit or go borrow money from any bank or anything like that. Borrowing money from your family members or your friends, borrowing money from a hard money lender, or borrowing money from a private lender. I mean, those are all available strategies that you can take advantage of at some point in your business if that's what you feel is necessary for your deal. But getting started, you don't need to do any of those things, okay? So tonight we're going to be talking about the 7 steps, and I believe I posted it up top as well too, the 7 steps, right, to successful wholesaling in real estate. All right. So amen. Rachel says amen. Kia says my side hustle became my primary business, but now I need another side hustle for more options, freedom, and cash flow. That's what I'm talking about, Kia. Shout out to Kia. Love her, girl. She is amazing. She's a wonderful, wonderful lady. Very beautiful too. All right, so let's get started. We got a lot of people on the line. I gave everyone just a few minutes to start. All right, so I think that we should go ahead and begin our tutorial. So anytime you guys have any questions, just drop it in the comment box there, and I'll try my best to make sure that I address and answer each of your questions directly, okay? So just let me know what you would like to know if something's unclear and you want just more like a larger elaborate answer or something like that. Like, I'm trying not to use big words. Everybody on here, you know, we're just gonna be talking at a 3rd grade level. We're not gonna use jargon, industry jargon. We're not gonna use big words. We're not gonna do any of those things. We're gonna keep it simple so everybody could understand, all right? If you got your baby on the line, you got your 5th grader or your 4th grader, 3rd grader, 4th grader, they're gonna be able to wholesale real estate when we get off this call. Fair enough? All right, so what is real estate wholesaling? Like, in a nutshell, what really is it? All right. So there's a whole lot of controversy about real estate wholesaling, because if you are like a broker or a licensed real estate professional, a lot of the times they say wholesaling is illegal. Wholesaling is illegal. That's like the big controversy about wholesaling. And why they say that is because of perception, all right? And there's a lot of wholesalers out there that actually fulfill that perception, unfortunately, and get caught up because they're just not doing it correctly, all right? They're saying the wrong things, and they're making their marketing look like they're representing somebody, all right? They're representing either a seller or they're representing a buyer, and you just can't do that. If you are not licensed, you're not representing anyone but yourself, all right? So, for example, if you saw a for sale by owner sign, or if you are a homeowner yourself and you wanted to sell your own property for yourself, you can do that, all right? So you, by law, can sell your own property for yourself without having a license to do that, right? Many of you have done that in the past or know someone who has done that, and that's totally fine. So what a wholesaler does, that strategy is, they market to owners that have a high probability of needing to sell their house quickly, like really, really fast, right? These people have a really high motivation and a really demand for cash, like right now. And notice I didn't say owners that want to sell. I'm talking about owners that need to sell, all right? So what's the difference? A owner that wants to sell just kind of has, you know, the option of selling or not selling, or they can wait, or they can list their property traditionally with a agent and put it on, you know, the market and put it on the MLS and start marketing on Zillow and Altrulia and Realtor.com. They can afford to do that. All right. That's somebody who needs to sell. They can wait around for time if they wanted to. But someone who needs to sell, all right, versus somebody who wants to sell is totally different. So somebody who wants to, needs to sell. I'm going to give you an example. So that would be somebody who, maybe they had a family member that passed away, all right, and they inherited a property. Now they live somewhere else, and they inherited a property from a family member that needs to be fixed up, and it's never got any maintenance on it, nothing like that, right? So if they wanted to keep this property and keep it for themselves, they would have to come out the pocket to actually like fix it. You know, maybe it's a property that has back taxes on it, and, you know, it's about to go to a real estate tax deed auction. Those are people that need to do something, because if they do nothing, they end up losing everything. So you really want to speak to people who have a high probability of selling. They need to sell. Another category of individuals that need to sell or may have a high probability of selling are owners who have property that live in another state, all right? So not just like, and they call those like absentee owners, right? People, they call them absentee. So that means like, you know, when you're at school and you're absent, you're just not in class. All right. So that's the industry word called absentee owner. So that's what it's kind of like. They're just not there. They're not present. They're not in that property at all. But there's many people who have multiple properties. So if you're marketing or sending letters or postcards or anything like that to people who have multiple properties who are considered absentee owners, you want to add an additional criteria. And I'm gonna tell you what that criteria is. That criteria would be like an age criteria. For real, for real. So people who are 65 and older. So now you want to market to people who are absentee owners who don't live in the property, have multiple properties, and they are 65 years old or older. All right. So you kind of like layer it up with your criteria. Why would you do that? Because it increases the probability of them having the need to sell. Maybe they are downsizing. Maybe they were landlords in the past and they were renting out the property and they don't want to do that anymore. They just want to cash out and enjoy life and sail off to the sunset. You know, they just want to get rid of it. So again, I'm reiterating the importance of making sure that whoever you're communicating with, you understand and differentiate between someone who has a need to sell and someone who just is like, all right, I want to sell, but you know, I want to sell for full market value. So they can afford to wait if that's what they want to do. So that's a really, really big deal. All right, let me see if there's any questions in there. Sherry says wholesale is her favorite. That's her favorite strategy. That's awesome. Felicia says, hey, you know what? Let's go in and say hello to everybody. So Paul is here. Hey, Paul, how you doing? Shout out to Sherry, Lavonda, Felicia. Thank you so much for joining. Tamika, Kat, how you doing, Kat? I miss you. Kat and I, as a matter of fact, Kat and I used to work at the same financial institution, and at some point I was her supervisor, I was her manager. So Kat can actually tell you guys how fabulous I was as her manager. She like, nah, Jackie, you was like real tough. I was like, get them sales goals right now. Norder's on. Hey, Norder, how you doing? Debbie's on, and beautiful, beautiful Tamanian Jewel is on, and I love her too. She and I used to work together as well at the financial here in Central Florida. So look at that. My past employees are on here. BFFs are on here. Everybody's on here. So that's amazing. Thank you guys so much for joining. So we're talking about the real estate investing strategy, and we just went over step number one. So step number one is making sure that you are only speaking to people who need to sell. And I gave examples of lists that you can create of individuals in specific categories that have a high probability of needing to sell their property. And those individuals don't mind cashing out. As a matter of fact, that's all they want is cash. I mean, you talk to them, they're like, how much are you going to buy it for? I mean, that's the first thing that comes out their mouth sometimes. How much are you going to buy this house for? And I'm like, well, we buy up to full market value based on the condition of the property, right? So wholesaling is a strategy that's meant for ugly houses, all right? So you have pretty house strategies, and then you have ugly house strategies. And what I mean by ugly house, a house that has a whole lot of like delayed maintenance, all right? It may need a new roof. It may like need paint. It has, no paint on the inside, on the outside. It needs a new kitchen. It's stuck in the year that it was built. So you ever walk into like your grandmama's house, and your grandmama's house was built like in like 1972, and she still got like that green wallpaper, and the green cabinets in the bathroom, and she got like a pink bathtub and a pink, sink and everything. Those are the houses that we're talking about. All right. So it's usually older homes, right, where the person has a lot of equity in it, meaning like they've more than likely paid it down, any loans that they have had on it, or maybe they even own it free and clear, right? They don't even have any mortgage, any loans or anything on it. But it has something wrong with it. You know what I'm saying? Like the house just needs to be fixed up and maintained or remodeled. And the current owner just doesn't want to do that. They just want to cash out and go. They just want to get whatever they can for it and just go. They don't want any headaches like that. They don't want to rent it. They just want money in their pocket like right now. So those are the people that you want to talk to. So the next thing that you'll do is screen that motivated seller for basically like their level of motivation, because it's important to understand the why behind they want to sell. Because when you make them an offer, you are going to tie their motivation and the reasons why they wanted to sell in the first place to your offer. It's going to make sense to them. So what do I mean by that? All right, so here's what you're going to do. You want to make a wholesale offer to an owner, and most of the time your wholesale offer is going to be like your cash offer. So when you're offering cash, it's the most aggressive. And when I say aggressive, if you are not embarrassed by the number that comes out of your mouth, then you offer too much. You offer too much. Like I'm really talking about making offers that are like 40 cents on the dollar, so if you have like $100,000 house and that it'll be $100,000 or worth $100,000, where when it's all fixed up, like your offer needs to be like 40,000, that would be considered 40 cents on the dollar, or 50,000, that's 50 cents on the dollar. So you could understand that, sometimes that makes people uncomfortable, right? So when you have new investors that are starting out in wholesaling, one of the things that they have challenges doing is making offers that low. They get really, really embarrassed and scared to do it, and they don't want to look crazy or have the owner reject them, in a negative way. So they offer too much, which is like an oxymoron when it comes on to wholesaling. So your wholesaling really, really needs to be a very aggressive number, your offer. And the way how you justify that cash offer is because you can close very, very quickly, right? And you're like, well, Jackie, you just told me that I don't need a loan and I'm not supposed to be borrowing money from anybody. So where am I going to get the money from to, buy this property? Well, guess what? If you bought it correctly and you contracted correctly, I should say rather, because you haven't bought it yet. But if you offered correctly and the owner says yes, you're in the money. You know why? Because whatever that number is, that low number, when you add on what you want to make out of that deal and then you go market, your contract to your cash buyer, they're going to absolutely love you. As a matter of fact, they might even just bow down and kiss your feet. They be like, yes, girl. Yes, boo. Yes, man. You doing it. Yes. You know why? Because you brought them a really good deal. All right. They are going to want to work with you exclusively because you know how to negotiate. All right. So in step 2, you're going to feel out the seller for their motivation, do a lot more listening than you do talking, all right? Because you need to understand their why. And the way how you would phrase that would be, you have a seller that wants to sell their property in a quick, fast, and a hurry because they need to relocate to be in the same city as their daughter who has their grandchildren. And maybe things are not going well for their daughter. So the daughter really, really needs grandma's help to take care of the grandkids. I don't know. That's a real motivation. That happens all the time, right? So you would say something on the lines of, Miss Seller, I totally understand how you feel. I've worked with other sellers in the past that had to relocate to take care of other family members, and I provided them with a cash solution that was able to help them relocate in less than 30 days, put cash in their pocket so that they can have a comfortable relocation so that they can start their new life and new journey in the new city with their daughter. And then they're able to be with their grandkids and you can love on them forever. Can you imagine taking your grandkids and your grandbabies to school and doing homework with them each and every evening? Yeah, that would be awesome, wouldn't it? Exactly. And that's what you want, isn't it? It is, yes. So here is the offer that I can provide for you so that we can get you on the plane, get some cash in your pocket so that you can go home and you can actually be with your grandbabies before Halloween. That's how that goes. All right, so that's number 2. I did that real easy, right? You're like, oh my gosh, she just rolled that off her tongue just like that. Well, it takes a little bit of practice and you can do it just like that too, all right? So that's exactly how you are to make your offers. You really have to listen keenly, ask the right questions to understand the owner seller's motivation. Then you link their motivation to the offer, and that's what justifies your offer, all right? And the speed justifies your offer because you're putting cash in their pocket. They don't have to do any of the repairs. You're taking the house as is, right? They don't have to do anything but just pack their bags. And all they have to do is just let you know where to wire the money. Okay, so that's really what you're doing. You're easing their pain. You're solving something for them that's a deep burning desire that's on their mind. They need the money in a quick, fast, and hurry so that you focus on that thing, that motivation that's going to solve that problem for them. All right, fair enough. So the next step in the wholesaling process is step number 3, which is signing the paperwork, right? The purchase and the sales agreement between you and the owner, all right? That's where you're going to identify the who, what, when, where, why, and all the timelines that goes into it. So most of the times on your paperwork, what you would want to do is you want to make sure that you always stay in control of your transactions, right? So you would be paying the closing costs for your owner. All right, so on that document, you normally put that you're paying the closing costs for them. And you're also going to include that you're going to take the property as is, and it does not require them to make any concessions, no seller concessions. They don't have to do any kind of fix up. They don't have to do anything like that at all, all right? You're also going to include your inspection period too, right? Because Mr. Seller, I know you shared with me that, you know, the house doesn't need any fix up or anything like that. But one of the things that we always do to make sure that the property is going to be a safe place for our investors is we just do a small inspection where we're just going to look and see, you know, if there's any repairs that needs to be done with this property, right? So your inspection period is going to be your opportunity to do your due diligence, all right? And what do I mean by your due diligence? It's basically like looking around. That's your time for you to get in the property, property, whether it's you physically going or you have someone else go on your behalf, or you actually have the owner send you pictures. That's for you virtual wholesalers out there. You always want to know, well, how am I going to see what I should be, calculating for the repairs and stuff like that? You want to be able to lay eyes on the property. That's also going to be the time that you overlap, and you are going to use your inspection period as also your marketing period as well, right? So you sign your paperwork with the seller, and now you have a piece of paper. Let me see, let me get a napkin. I love a demonstration. So now you got a piece of paper. You are going to have a piece of paper that says that you have a contract with that owner for a specific amount, and that you're going to close on a certain day. You control the transaction and the closing. You choose the title company or escrow company. You choose all of that. You control everything. You're the one that decide where everything is going to go. All right. And you need to do that. Why? Because wholesaling, your claim to fame and how you actually becomes really, really successful at it, you control the first transaction, which is between, or the first, set of paperwork between you and the owner. And you also control the second set of paperwork between you and your potential buyer, which is normally considered your cash buyer, right? Which is going to be another investor that's going to buy that property from you, right? Take that contract and buy that property from the actual owner, you, at the time. So here's what I'm saying. So you have an A and a B, that's between you and the owner, right? A and B. And then you have a B to C paperwork, another contract between you and your end buyer. Your end buyer, whoever that is, the investor buyer, they're the ones that's going to bring the money to the closing table and buy the property outright. Okay, so if you had your contract with your owner seller for $45,000, you would be offering your contract, your principal interest in that contract, right? You're assigning yourself as a buyer. You're assigning your buyer interest to another buyer. So another buyer is going to come and bring the money and close with that seller. So in this example, you had a contract with Mr. Owner, and it's for $45,000, right? So you would actually have an assignment contract paperwork with your end buyer for $50,000 or something like that, whatever it is. That difference between the $45,000 and the $50,000, that $5,000 difference is what you're going to get paid. That's what's up. That's how easy that is. Okay. So you didn't have to buy any real estate. You didn't have to close on anything. You didn't have to use your credit or get pre-qualified and get a mortgage. Like, you really didn't have to do any of those things. Like, it's really that simple. So you have a buyer, you have a seller here, and you are in the middle. So you are the one that's controlling the relationship between you and the original owner. And you're also simultaneously controlling your relationship between you and the actual buyer as well. All right. So that is step number 3. All right, so step number 3, you sign your paperwork with the seller and you do your inspection, and your inspection where you look around and do your due diligence and you do your homework about the property. That is the time that you also have the opportunity to market your contract. All right, and I want to be very specific. You're marketing your contract. You're not marketing the house, right? Because if you market the house and you say, hey, I have a house for sale, in any of your Facebook ads, or if you put that on Craigslist, or you put that on Backpage, you put that anywhere, what you are putting yourself at risk for is presenting yourself as a broker, as a real estate agent, someone who earns commission and represents buyers and sellers. All right. So you do not want to position yourself or market yourself in any way or say any kind of language that says that you have a house for sale. What you actually have for sale is the actual contract. All right. You're assigning your contract to your end buyer, who's then going to bring the money to the closing table. And the difference in your negotiation with your buyer is what you actually are going to be compensated for. That's pretty much how that goes, right? So step number 4, you're going to advertise your assignable contract to your potential cash buyers. All right. And then most wholesalers, what they start out doing as well is they'll create like a cash buyers list. They start networking and finding out what other investors like, right? So maybe you go to a landlord association. That's a great idea. Or a real estate association, and go to real estate meetups and find out what people are interested in. Another place that you can go to actually get people to have on your potential buyers list is every county has a Section 8. Right? Why not? Right? Every county has something like that where they have like, public housing or whatever. So one of the websites that you can go to that has the contact information for landlords is gosection8.com. I'm actually going to type it in here. I think it's go section 8, the number 8.com. So if you haven't heard of that website before, it's a great place for you to go and get information and contact information for landlords. And guess who landlords are? They're investors, right? So you're like, dang, Jackie, I didn't even know that, I can have like phone numbers and contact information for landlords. Well, there you go. You're welcome. You can start there, all right? But in addition to that, you can also go, I would encourage you to join your local real estate investment association in your area. And if you are not a member of one, join one. You could just Google it or something like that. And I'm pretty sure all the meetups and their meetings and stuff will come up. So Google REIA, which is REIA, right? Your town, USA. And then you can find your local real estate association, go there as a guest, and then, join. I would do that if I were you, if you're trying to find buyers. All right. So let's see, where are we up to? So that's up to step number 4. Step number 5. Now you're going to assign your contract to your cash buyer, right? So here's a caveat to make sure that your whole transaction goes smoothly. All right. So people always ask me like the mechanics of this process. So if you told the owner that you're going to close in 30 days, like whatever your closing date is with them, it needs to be the same closing date with your buyer, like for real. It needs to be the same day, right? It needs to be like on or before that day. Like it really needs to be like the same day. And that's where people get tripped up. They're like, oh my gosh, how this is going to work. It's the same day, people. So you will have your buyer come in the morning of closing. So they're bringing the cash, or they're wiring the cash or whatever to the title company. And then now the title company is going to hold that money like in a bucket, right? In an account. And then you close with the seller in the afternoon. That's how that works. So buyer in the morning, seller in the afternoon. The difference between the two goes in your pocket. All right. So that's kind of like the mechanics of it all. So anyone who like didn't really understand how that would work, that's pretty much how it works. Your buyer closes first, and then the owner closes second, and it all happens in the same day. And the title company does their magic, and they do all the paperwork and all of like the title search and everything like that, make sure everything goes good. And they also make sure that, title insurance is issued to that new buyer so that they can, move on with their life, whether it's renovating or they want to flip it, and they just want to rent it and become landlords themselves, or whatever their exit strategy, whatever they want to do with the house, they can do it and know that they got a really good title, right? Clean title. They got a special warranty deed, or, or whatever warranty deed they got. They need to have clean title. And the only way for them to do that is for the title company or a real estate attorney to close on that deal for them and make sure that everything is recorded with the county that the property, where the property is located, and everything is all good, right? So they're going to take care of that stuff, but you need to make sure that the dates are the same. That's where your money's at. Make sure the dates are the same, where the buyer brings the money before a check is dispersed to that owner. All right. So the title company is going to say, oh, okay, you sold this property to, or the the cash buyer bought it for $50,000. That's fine. They bought $50,000 plus their closing costs and their fees and everything like that, to closing at 9 a.m., right? And then you have a second closing, maybe at lunchtime or something like that, between your agreement between the owner and you at noon for $45,000, right? So that difference, that split, the title company is going to cut you the difference because it got to go somewhere. So might as well go in your pocket. And that's how that would work. All right.